Everybody argues about approval ratings, but the trend is the real story. Month by month, the last 9 months, using the same approval average source the whole way through. No cherry picking, no one poll panic. Silim Yelnats here with you today, running down this mess. These numbers are approval polling averages reported in Ballotpedia's monthly snapshots and summaries. We're not talking about one survey. This is a rolling average view to track direction. May 2025 ends at 47% approval. That's our starting point for this 9-month window. Baseline mood. Gallup's monthly indicators suggested things were broadly steady in May, more like a calm before the later turbulence. Key drivers showing up in coverage, polling chatter, immigration enforcement controversy, legal pushback, plus intensity, plus tariff economic worry showing up as a drag, even while border issues were a political strength. June ends at 45%. That's a 2-point drop in 1 month. Foreign policy anxiety in the Middle East, Iran. A cluster of June polling coverage tied softening approval to public reluctance about deeper U.S. involvement in the Israel-Iran tensions conflict environment. Likely contributors: Middle East, Iran. Tension. Polling coverage at the time highlighted public reluctance about deeper U.S. involvement, which tends to pressure approval. July ends at 44%. Another step down, now we're settling into the mid-40s. Independents swing negative. Gallup's July findings highlighted a sharp drop among independents and pointed to disapproval on the federal budget, the economy, and immigration as key issue areas dragging him down. Issue ratings slide. Gallup also noted declines across multiple issue handling measures versus earlier in the year, with the budget standing out. What the data explicitly said: Gallup reported a second-term low, driven by independents, with major dissatisfaction with the federal budget, the economy, and immigration. Gallup also noted declines versus earlier in the year on budget, the largest drop, plus immigration and Ukraine. August ends at 44% again. That's a pause. Flat month over month. Stuck vibe. Approval often doesn't need a single scandal to stall. Late summer can become a nothing's improving stretch. Ballotpedia's later comparisons show his weekly averages settling in a lower band by this stage. What was changing underneath? Reuters' Ipsos issue tracking in late summer showed the public's top problems shifting: economy, crime, corruption, political extremism, and that's a typical environment for stagnant soft approval. It's the economy. September ends at 44%. But the key detail, Ballotpedia notes an early September low point of 43%, meaning there was pressure underneath that month-end number. Mood turns subdued. Gallup reported U.S. satisfaction dipping to the lowest of the term around this period, with crime and national unity rising as concerns. Gallup reported the lowest national satisfaction of the second term, driven by rising concern about crime and national unity. Ballotpedia noted Trump briefly hit a new low during the month, even if month-end averages looked steadier. Now October is where you need honesty from anyone covering this. I'm not seeing a clean, accessible Ballotpedia month-end snapshot for October in the sources pulled here. What we can say is this: September ends at 44, and by November the month-end average is 42, so October likely sits somewhere in between. Approval hits new second-term low in Gallup. Gallup published a late October update showing a new second-term low. Hard event. Federal government shutdown begins October 1, 2025. This kind of disruption reliably damages national mood and leadership approval. Polling marker. Gallup also ran a late October approval update around this time frame, showing worsening readings. November ends at 42% approval. That's the clearest drop in this stretch, and Ballotpedia framed it as the lowest approval reading of the term at that point. Affordability plus cost of living. Reuters' Ipsos explicitly connected weakening approval to rising living costs and dissatisfaction with economic management. Epstein files, transparency controversy. That same Reuters poll also tied the decline to public disapproval of how the administration handled Epstein-related files. Tariff walk inflation concerns. Reuters reported tariff adjustments amid mounting inflation concerns, another affordability signal. Ballotpedia, lowest of second term at that point. Month-end averages had him at 42% and framed it as the lowest of the term to date. Biggest stacked month for decline. Shutdown ended November 12, 2025, after 43 days. Reuters Jurg Ipsos. Approval hit its lowest of the term in their polling, tied to rising living costs and dissatisfaction with the handling of Epstein-related files. Tariff reversal on food imports, coffee, beef, etc., explicitly framed as responding to inflation food price concerns, which signals affordability pressure. Ballotpedia, month-end, 42% approval, lowest of the second term at that point. December stays at 42%. The summary for January explicitly says November and December matched. Shutdown aftereffects. Gallup's end-year in gloomy mood write-up explicitly referenced worsening views after the shutdown. A classic approval headwind even when blame is shared. Shutdown-era approval remains weak. AP Norc also showed low approval around the shutdown period. Theme. Gallup described Americans ending 2025 in a gloomy mood, with worsening economic views and sharp partisan divides after the shutdown, and January 2026 stays at 42%, making it 3 consecutive months parked at the same level. Floor behavior. When approval holds flat after a drop, it often means partisans are locked in and the fight is about independence plus economic sentiment, not persuasion from speeches. The broader gloom indicators in late 2025 carried into early 2026. What explains flat at the bottom? Ballotpedia, Trump ends January at 42%, the third consecutive month at that level. Brookings argues the economy weakened support in 2025 and could continue shaping political support into 2026. Classic, it's the economy, gravitational pull. So the 9-month story looks like this. You start at 47% in May. You slide to the mid-40s by June and July. You plateau at 44% through August and September. Then you step down to 42% by November and hold there through December and January. All this means is that America does not approve of what despot Donnie is doing in Washington. You can see for yourself. How long before he's impeached? The most significant historical shutdowns include the first shutdown under Donald Trump's second presidency, which began on October 1, 2025 and lasted for 43 days, the 35-day shutdown of 2018-2019 during Trump's first presidency, over expanding barriers on the U.S.-Mexico border, the 21-day shutdown of 1995-1996. Despot Donnie is consistent. Now here's the real question. You see what changed? How this admin is running the country. Between that 44% plateau and the 42% floor, and do you think that floor holds, breaks down, or rebounds? When approval hits a floor, it forces a question. Is this the bottom or the base? Every presidency has a moment like this. What happens next depends on policy, pressure, and the people watching. If you want data-driven analysis without noise, subscribe, share this video, and tell me below, does 42% hold or break? Subscribe.